The tides are turning, my friends. It's 2025 and the tides are turning. I've been having discussions with my Muslim friends for decades. If you've been having discussions with your Muslim friends, I'm sure one of the most frustrating things you've experienced over and over and over again is the constant lying of the Dawagandists, people like Ali Dawah, Muhammad Hijab, Sheikh Uthman ibn Farouk, Daniel Hakikachu, Eddie from the Deen Show, and so on, simply make things up. And they've been exposed for it repeatedly. The frustrating part, however, is that when you prove conclusively that a Dawagandist has lied, your voice will be instantly drowned out by thousands of his fans. So you correctly point out that someone has lied, but all of a sudden thousands of people are calling you the liar. And you start to wonder, is this really worth it? Trying to help here and they just don't want to listen. Am I wasting my time? And the answer is no, you're not wasting your time, because some people, even if they're the minority, are listening, and they'll see that you're right. And once enough people see that you're right, the tide starts turning. Let's look at a perfect example from yesterday. Eddie from the Deen Show posted, "Did you know that Prophet Muhammad is mentioned by name in the Bible?" Really? By name? Where? In the Hebrew text of Song of Solomon 5:16, the word Mahmadim appears, sharing the same root as Muhammad. Yet, instead of keeping it as a name, they translated it. You don't translate a name. This was done to deceive people and hide the truth. Why alter it? Here's the proof. And the proof is a video he posted 5 years ago. You can watch it if you want to feel yourself getting dumber. So, Muhammad is mentioned by name in Song of Solomon 5:16, but evil translators translate the name as desirable or lovely in order to deceive people and to keep them from realizing that Muhammad is mentioned by name in the verse. Let's read Song of Solomon 5:16 before we see what happened to poor Eddie after he posted this nonsense. In Song of Solomon 5, Solomon's wife is looking for Solomon, and the daughters of Jerusalem ask her what makes her beloved, Solomon, so special. They say in verse 9, "What is your beloved more than another beloved, O most beautiful among women? What is your beloved more than another beloved, that you thus adjure us?" She responds by describing how attractive he is. And after describing his entire body, she declares, "His mouth is most sweet, and he is altogether desirable. This is my beloved, and this is my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem." Again, who's she responding to? The daughters of Jerusalem, who asked her why she's looking for Solomon and why he's so special. Eddie from the Deen Show claims that desirable here is the name Muhammad, and that evil translators cover this up by translating it desirable or lovely. The obsession with finding Muhammad in verses like this is borderline insane. But if you tried to refute this argument just 5 years ago, your voice would be drowned out by a mob. But times are changing, my friends. Watch what happens when someone like Eddie brings this up now. As of this recording, his post has 460 likes. My response has 2,500 likes. Inspiring Philosophy's response has 1,000 likes. And you can't say this is because we just have more followers or something, because Eddie has way more followers on X than we do. Eddie has more than 1 million followers on X. By comparison, I have around 92,000 and Inspiring Philosophy has around 52,000. So Eddie's fans should be able to drown us out instantly. But they didn't at all, because the Dawah lies are becoming too difficult to defend. Let's see why. Inspiring Philosophy replied, "This is utter nonsense, and if you haven't learned this yet, you're either incredibly uninformed or dishonest. It makes no grammatical sense to say Muhammad is mentioned by name in Song of Solomon 5:16. And here's the video he shared.
Over the past several months, I've been tagged in a number of videos of Muslims claiming that Song of Solomon 5:16 predicts the coming of Muhammad, but this is utter nonsense. First off, the word in question is Mahmad, which means lovely or desirable. And in this verse, it's in the plural form, so if it's a name, it would actually be saying there are multiple Muhammads. Now, the Muslim response is that it's made plural out of respect, but there's no evidence names in biblical Hebrew are made plural out of respect. There's no Yahwehim, David'im, or Solomon'im. Some will bring up the Hebrew word Elohim, which is in plural form, but it's not a plural of respect, it's a concretized abstract plural, which means it could be used for a single deity or many. It's like our English word for sheep. You can refer to one sheep or many sheep. Mahmadim is not a concretized abstract plural, nor is it a plural of respect, nor was it ever interpreted to be a name prior to the rise of Islam. Also, the word right before Mahmadim in this verse means each or every or all. It's not what you would use if you wanted to say he is Muhammad. You can see the exact same word construction in Numbers 23:13, where the word means them all. So if you were going to translate Song of Solomon 5:16 as literally as possible, and it actually meant Muhammad, you would say his mouth, his sweets, plural, each of him or all of him is Muhammad's. That doesn't make grammatical sense, which is why every single Hebrew Bible scholar translates this as lovely or desirable. If the author was trying to say he is Muhammad, you would find a similar construction to what you see in Psalm 105 verse 7, where it says he is the Lord and it uses the divine name. The fact that it means lovely in the plural form makes more sense with the Hebrew context. The bride is describing her lover, who throughout the book is Solomon, to the daughters of Jerusalem, and she describes various aspects she finds attractive. His head is the finest gold, his eyes are like doves, his cheeks are like a bed of spices, his lips are lilies, his arms are rods of gold, his legs are alabaster columns, his mouth is most sweet. And then we get to the climax where she says all of him, or every aspect of him, is desirable, plural in Hebrew. As you can see, she just got done describing various aspects of Solomon that are attractive, so it makes sense in the conclusion she just says all of him is lovely or desirable. This makes far more sense than saying she breaks from this to predict the coming of Muhammad in a grammatically incorrect statement. Moreover, the word Mahmad shows up at other places in the Hebrew Bible, where it just means lovely or desirable. Why would the word be a proper name in Song of Solomon 5 if it's not understood that way in other verses? This sounds like special pleading. There is not a Hebrew scholar alive that thinks Song of Solomon 5:16 is predicting the coming of Muhammad, and as you can see, it's because there's a multitude of problems with that interpretation. And before I made this video, I checked all this over with experts that are fluent in Hebrew. If you don't agree, learn Hebrew and take it up with the experts.
Care to debate inspiring philosophy on this, Eddie? Of course you wouldn't. You wouldn't dare. DAWAH is deception, and you know it. Prove me wrong. You won't. I know it. You know it. And now your fans, slowly but surely, are catching on. They see you thumping your chest and claiming you've got the proof, but they also see you instantly backing down whenever you're challenged. Classic DAWAH fail. Then I responded to Eddie. I said, Eddie just claimed that Mahmad in the Bible is Muhammad. Interestingly, Ezekiel's wife is also called Mahmad in Ezekiel 24:16. Hence, according to Eddie, Muhammad was Ezekiel's wife. Welcome to DAWAH. In Ezekiel 24, God tells the prophet Ezekiel that his wife is about to die. He says he's going to take away the delight of Ezekiel's eyes, his wife. Delight here in Hebrew is Mahmad. The word Eddie says is actually a name that shouldn't be translated. If Eddie is correct, this would mean that Muhammad was Ezekiel's wife. Silly, right? Welcome to DAWAH. There are all kinds of problems we can point out with this argument. We've pointed out many times before that the Dawagandists are committing what we call the phonic fallacy or the phonetic fallacy, which is claiming that since two words sound similar in two different languages, they must mean the same thing. And we give examples of the absurdities that this can give rise to. For instance, we point out that the Hebrew word for mouse is akhbar. Akhbar in Hebrew means mouse. If we want to commit the phonic fallacy, we would conclude that when Muslims say Allahu Akbar, they're actually saying Allah is a mouse. Muslims, do you agree with this approach to language? I don't. If you really want to expose the argument, just read the Song of Solomon. This is about a romantic, physical relationship between Solomon and his bride, and a lot of the book is them praising each other's bodies. And it's all taking place in Jerusalem, 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 Jerusalem. Speaking of Jerusalem, we've partnered with Artsabox, a company that gathers items from artisans in Jerusalem and Nazareth and Bethlehem and other locations and ships them to you in a box. There's a new one every 4 months. It's like Christmas 4 times a year. You get dishes, decorations, pendants, candy, various food items, and Israeli spices, along with a booklet that tells you about the artisans and farmers who provide them. The booklet also comes with a Hebrew tutorial to get you started on learning Hebrew. If you keep learning, you'll be able to show people what a book like Song of Solomon says in Hebrew. Artsaboxes are fun to open with your family, and they make great gifts. In fact, if you want a pro tip, you can get a quarterly Artsabox and give out the individual items as gifts. How cool will you be in your church giving people presents straight from Israel? So sign up to get your first Artsabox. The link is in the description box. Use the promo code DIZZLE to get a discount and to let them know who sent you. Back to the tides turning in 2025. A lot of our Muslim friends are realizing that the claims of the DAWAH guys simply can't be defended. And so they're not rushing to defend them anymore. I showed how Eddie, a guy who has more than 1 million followers on X, got completely ratioed by me and Inspiring Philosophy, even though we have a fraction of his followers. And if you'd like to really have some fun, go to Eddie's post and read through the other responses. He's getting absolutely crushed because there are simply too many people who know how to expose the lies now. Over the past few decades, Dawagandists have relied on their followers to silence their critics. But there would only be 1 or 2 critics, so it was easy for the mob to silence the critic. Now, however, dozens of critics show up to respond when a DAWAH guy lies. It's a new world. The darkness of DAWAH is ending, a light has dawned. And all we have to do to accelerate the avalanche is to be relentless. Now, go be relentless.